Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to BBallBreakdown. An amazing game last night between the Clippers and the Spurs. This is what it looks like when two teams go at each other in the playoffs. We're lucky it's the first round for us, but it's pretty unlucky for both these two teams. They have to go at each other so early. That said, the refereeing was really pretty bad all throughout the game. Both teams had some complaints. The Clippers probably got the worst end of the stick, but this is sort of what happens when Doc Rivers is constantly screaming at the refs. And that means that his team is screaming at the refs. They're not focused on the right things down the stretch, and we've seen a pattern of a lack of attention to detail and some fundamental flaws in the way they execute. And this is not just a thing that happened last night. It's a thing that's been happening, and it's very concerning. I think that Doc Rivers needs to stop preening and screaming and yelling on the sideline. It's not helping his team, and it's certainly not helping him get any more calls. So I'm going to show you the things that they can control that they didn't do so well that would help balance out these bad calls that went against them, and that's the only way they're going to win a Game 6 and maybe even a Game 7 to pull out this series. Let's start by looking at the end of the first quarter where the Clippers had a nice lead on the Spurs. Just watch the crisp cutting and ball movement as the Spurs motion gets a double stagger for Patty Mills. Rivers takes a terrible path underneath Baines and Mills gets a wide open three. To start the second quarter, the Spurs run the elevator play. The key is Patty Mills sets a cross screen for a cutter coming towards the ball, getting Rivers trailing before shooting the gap and having the doors closed behind him. The best way to defend this is to have Big Baby switch out on top and Jordan slide over. More issues for Austin as he misses a long jumper, then jogs back leisurely, putting him way out of position for the drag screen, and makes matters worse by bopping him on the head for a 4-point play. More good execution on the flare screen by Duncan, zero communication by DeAndre Jordan. Blake is caught staring at the ball, and Bonner gets a wide open look. I'd say Redick needed to rotate. You always want to force another pass if you can, since I'm sure the Clippers would be happy to rotate again and give up a corner three to Parker as the alternative. Then there was the old helping one pass away issue, especially down low on the post. Matt Barnes does this, and Manu says, "Muchas gracias, señor." The Spurs then overload the left side. I feel like Jordan shouldn't be hedging this high and wide. If he sunk back lower, he would have been able to contain Duncan and Chris Paul would not have had to rotate over. Instead, simple pass to Mills, who is as wide open as he's ever been. Barnes gets caught helping when he didn't need to. Big Baby is in position and doesn't need help. Another easy pass, and Bellinelli says, "Grazie mille." The Spurs continue to ruthlessly execute their offense. Here's the hammer play where they hand off to Manu and a back screen on the weak side to get the corner three. The Clippers defend this well, but Jamal Crawford is in terrible position on this split. He gets screened by his own man and Danny Green gets a wide open shot. Crawford gives us the illusion that he's playing tough defense, but hugging your man on the weak side like this, instead of being in proper position 3 steps to his right, just gives up the quick cut with a screen and another completely wide open jumper. All of these fundamental mistakes just serve to cancel out all the incredible plays the Clippers were making. When you see Blake Griffin lead the break and Jordan run a lane like this, they are virtually unstoppable. And with all this spacing with shooters, look how Chris Paul can dazzle in the open court. Look at his split foot hesitation move. Young players master this. And the 2-footed finish with the right foot leading. While this isn't the worst instance of saving the ball under your own hoop, you should always try and save it way up and out towards half court. Duncan does make a nice play, Parker shoots it, and watch how Blake doesn't hustle back into the play. He's not in position to grab the ball from Duncan and Kawhi gets the putback. To make matters even worse, Chris Paul fires the ball at the ref and gets a tech. In a vacuum, I might see why this didn't warrant a technical foul, but with all the complaining that everyone in the Clippers had been doing all night, the ref had had enough. And let's face it, it was downright dumb of CP3 to do this. Basic fundamentals begin to elude the Clippers down the stretch. Here they can't connect on a simple entry to the post. The Clippers run a nice ball reversal to get Blake the ball down low, but his left-hand dribble is so high, Duncan barely has to move to easily poke it away. Here's the set that's been killing the Spurs all series, and Pop has made no adjustment, and he must if he wants to win Game 6. The Clippers continually run the ball screen out of Horns at the half-court line, and it makes no sense why Kawhi would be stuck going over the screen. He must get underneath it since there is no fear of Chris Paul pulling up for a 40-foot shot. This gives CP3 tons of room to work with, and he's gorgeous with this change of pace. Spurs run their basic motion. Bellinelli catches Redick out of position. Blake has no idea where the ball is, but they luck out when Kawhi cuts to the same spot when he shouldn't have. Crawford pokes it out and leads the fast break. With the wily veteran Duncan back, Crawford must execute this flawlessly. He tries to draw contact, doesn't really get it, and can't finish the simple layup. While he's on the ground complaining of the no call, the Spurs waste no time taking advantage. And rather than Blake being in his stance and trying to play defense, he casually reaches in and Kawhi finds Diaw open. This sequence was a microcosm of the whole game and should explain how it was decided. The Clippers break into normal Horns. Again, they struggle just making a simple post-entry pass, but I really like how the bigs split down the middle, and this is the beauty of a pass by Griffin. Down 5, the Clippers play some of their awesome defense, which we saw a lot of in this game. The Spurs cannot find an opening as they run the pin down for Green. DeAndre with the great hands to strip Duncan, and this is one of those things that happens. Perhaps for the reasons we've shown, the basketball gods are angry at the Clippers and punish them with this circus shot. This high Horns is almost reverse elevator if you think about it, since Green tries to get through it but gets caught. Again, CP3 has plenty of room to attack the slower Duncan and hits an incredible layup with the foul. Jamal Crawford surprises with some great defense on the Kawhi isolation. Then the Clippers sprint down to catch the Spurs off guard. San Antonio does a nice job to recover, but they were never in perfect position, and when they can't stop the pass to Blake on the roll, their only hope of interrupting this magnificence was gone. Down 2, for some reason the Clippers run their high Horns lower than normal, and this gave Diaw a chance to contain Chris Paul nicely. However, since it is a switch, the Clippers take advantage of the mismatch of Green on Griffin. Blake gets into the paint, but old man Riverwalk makes the play of the game, blocking him clean. I'm sure the refs were thinking that Blake was initiating the contact with Green, which is why it went as a no call. While this became a controversial call against the Clippers, watch how Blake decides to face guard Duncan at half court. Had he been in proper position, do you think Parker drives the lane here? I suspect Redick's right arm was doing a bit more than the camera can catch with these two angles, and Parker coaxes the free throws out of the refs. Down 3, the Clippers run a nice reversal into dribble pitch. With no offensive player on the left side, there is no help. Kawhi rotates over nicely, but it's too late and Blake gets free throws. The issue that has plagued the Clippers all season is their free throw shooting. Blake chokes on both of these, and while Matt Barnes eventually gets the ball back and gets fouled, 9 crucial seconds are lost in a game where the Clippers cannot afford to give away anything. Barnes makes them both, and the Spurs are desperately clinging to this lead. On a rare isolation out top for Kawhi, Austin Rivers gets caught helping one pass away, and he gets away with murder as Green gets this silly open shot but can't make it. The Clippers are in great position. They've got plenty of time to get a shot off and a chance at a rebound. Diaw gets caught horribly out of position, good lob for Blake, and he gets right to the paint. The ball appears as if it's going to roll in until out of nowhere DeAndre Jordan quite clearly goaltends his own teammate's shot. This is inexcusable and speaks to the lack of fundamentals narrative. Perhaps all these plays by the Clippers, including all the complaining to the refs, anger the basketball gods since there isn't a great way to explain what happens next. Green misses the second free throw. Matt Barnes gets drawn towards the baseline by Manu, who doesn't touch this ball. Barnes really should be able to get his hands on this as it hits the backboard, but Austin Rivers' job is to box out the shooter. Instead, he backs up, and they rely on Chris Paul to do it, who is running in from the top of the key, virtually impossible to get in proper position. Green comes up with the rebound, and that is how the Spurs won Game 5. So there you have it, sports fans. That's what it looks like when the Spurs stick to their guns, focus on the fundamentals, and execute better than the Clippers. They can survive any kind of weird calls that the referees might make against them. Had the Clippers been able to take care of business more on those threes and keeping their cool, they might have been able to pull this game out. As it is, they've lost Game 5 at home, and that's a really bad sign for any team trying to win a series. So we'll see what happens tomorrow in Game 6, but it's certainly going to be a big one, a great one. Don't forget to check out everything that's going on our .com, some terrific writing every day. And also don't forget at BBallBreakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?